You gotta say it.
And I almost
Put on the
might
spot.
for a split second. I could feel it. I was like,
Yeah. Okay, Gwen. We'll call the order for the meetings. We'll go to public comments. Looks like Josh Smith.
Say again?
Did you ever?
No,
No.
I signed in for the.
Oh, would like to speak down. Oh. Ms. Kraus?
Yes,
Ms. Kraus would like to speak.
yes, I do.
You have, the
I-
floor is yours for 5 minutes.
Oh, my goodness. No, I only need a moment.
Okay.
I'm Jennifer Kraus. I'm running for county commission. And some of you might know my son, Gabe. Yeah.
yeah.
He wouldn't be happy, of course, unless I mentioned his name and embarrassed him, so. But I appreciate you letting me come this evening and hear what goes
Ms.
on.
Kraus?
Very
Ms. Kraus would
interested.
like-
Oh, I was way behind.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a
Who's
delay.
calling me? Okay.
Getting rehab.
Yeah, that's, yeah, we'll fix that.
Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. Thank you for having me here this evening and yeah, thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Everybody get a chance to take a look at last month's meetings, minutes? Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Anything that needs to be changed? Can I get a motion? Accept the minutes as written.
Motion to accept lessons.
Second.
All in favor of accepting minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Go ahead on to the treasurer's reports.
Okay, our income shows that we have $3,019,138 in general fund. The ambulance fee shows $915,000, $360 rather, $915,360. The TV Association, $3,514. There's $137,815, and others $2,902. I wasn't able to be at last month's meeting, but I wanted to update what would have been in our report had I been here last month. And last month, there was a total of 18 checks that were signed and by Director Berner and myself for the total of $44,128. So far this month, we have written 20 checks and Director Berner and myself have signed those. And that totals for $60,389.26.
Thank you, sir. I don't have anything, and Bob didn't have anything in the email that I sent, so I think for this report, there is none. Oh, that's. Can I get a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
One second.
Second.
All in favor of accepting the treasurer report as given, please say aye.
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 It's not the same without him here.
There's a bit of a delay for the folks that call in by phone.
We did. Okay, yeah. Then anybody opposed to the treasurer's report? State. AFF report.
Good evening. I printed off, gave everybody a copy of our permanent members. So on the 10th, last Wednesday, we did our meeting for our annual election of our permanent officers. Mike Simon, he is our president. Myself as the vice president. Chris Lyons as our local secretary. Johanna Tabor as our treasurer. The 3 board members at large were Scott Biller, Kent Riley, and Matthew Ryan. Retain that for your records for any type of contact or information that's required for communications. They asked that we, but you guys know that we are also doing like Dr. Family Christmas. So they are going to, they've reached out to the church, they made some contacts, they're waiting to hear the list of forms back. And then from there, I believe we'll be posting something for like some gift cards to stores or food or something. Once we have a little bit more detail, we're going to share that with everybody. If you're obligated, we'll share it with everyone in the weeks. So that we
Can non-members contribute?
of course, forgive me. And there was actually a committee that was put together for Chris Lyons as the chair. So that's what the family did here. And that was where it stood. They were just waiting to hear back from the church. I'm not sure which one they reached out to because it was on behalf of other committee members. That's all I have. Actually, I don't. Actually, we have a thank you. Sorry. I guess it was 2 weeks ago, there was some correspondence between John Lyons, who was our acting president, temporary president, and G. Berman about our holiday policy. So kudos to them. They made a great policy above and beyond, and a lot of smiles. So him and Captain Constantine did a great job.
Let me explain that. So holidays in the government world are conveniently moved to Mondays and Fridays, which is great for office workers, but it doesn't work so well for people whose lives don't work on a Monday to Friday basis. So it's been a frustration for many years, and this year it came to a head with the realization that those folks that worked on Christmas Day, December 25th, would receive no holiday pay, nothing, no incentive to work Saturday, December 25th, Christmas Day. However, the folks that worked on Wednesday, the 22nd, or 23rd, would end up getting an incentive to work that day. That doesn't work it's not fair to the employees, and it doesn't work for us trying to, reward people for working or incentivize them to work on those tough days where you really would rather not be away from your family. So we finally got our heads down and corrected all that was wrong with that policy.
So not everybody gets holiday pay. So in other words, like my shift, I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I always get holiday pay, even if I don't work the holiday, because I don't get holiday off.
Right.
So do all employees, even if they don't work the exact same holiday, let's say their normal lieu day would fall on that day.
Right.
Do they get?
Every full-time employee gets 8 hours of straight time for every holiday, whether they work or not.
Okay.
But we also pay additional holiday pay for those that work, because they're working, most of them are working 24-hour shifts.
Gotcha.
And so there is really, yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. I just have one question. What is your membership numbers?
The numbers
For the 53, how many?
the actual number of
Yeah.
members, 34.
Okay.
And I think 2 more were coming in at the next meeting, the way I understand it.
Good.
And there was, it was pretty big attendance.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't have a lot to discuss or bring up. Just in the last meeting, Bob did come as representative of this board. We did talk about what he requested about the wants and needs list. And we would still provide that, but not by this meeting. And not in a real big rush to it. But we do have to come up with a budget number to present to the board, this board, by December meeting. So at our next meeting, we'll come up with that number, which is more likely to be probably something we had in the past. We presented that one number in case we went to the fire fee, because we all know that can't be, that's not a realistic number right now, so to speak. Kind of hard to explain, but we will be going on wants and needs list later. But he did go over that. And also there's something else. Mike, having, y'all remember, that was pretty much just for me.
That was
wasn't it? Just, yeah. And we still are looking for someone to come in. Well, we're still investigating the possible levy idea. The only thing I brought to everybody's attention, you already know, but bring it to your attention too. No matter what we decide or the commission decide, either a fee, which I know is not gonna happen, or a levy. No matter how you look at it, we're gonna be back in the same position this time next year. Looking for the same pennies and nickels. And, you know, I'm gonna reiterate, we cannot continue, this poor old can has been kicked down the road so many times, it's dead. And in the end of the road, it's coming to a reality like now. So the commission needs to come off dead center and come up with some kind of idea, because we cannot continue down this path. Even though, like I said, whatever we decide or whatever the commission decides, if we do approve a levy, it's still gonna take that much more time to develop and get money in the bank account, whatever, to start dispersing. So we're still quite a ways off, unfortunately. And I think that's all.
Okay, thanks, sir. Director Bernard, your report, please.
The first thing is the breast cancer awareness, our t-shirt campaign. Debbie has handled this program for the last several years and done a fantastic job with it. So you want to give us the update on what our total is and when will be presenting that? Okay, so we're gonna come up with a date where we'll be presenting the proceeds to them. And do you have what our net was? Didn't bring that with you? Okay. It was, I think we were over $2,000 that we have to donate to the breast cancer awareness of Cumberland Valley. So we just need to schedule the presentation to get that to them. And that is the proceeds from our breast cancer t-shirt sales that happen, well, they start in August, but employees are permitted to wear them. So we're kind of excited to be able to do something good for a good organization as well. The Jefferson County Chamber of Commerce awards, they're being done virtually this year. It's been a couple of years now that we have not had the banquet, which was always a nice affair. So we kind of missed that one. Our recipients from JCESA this year, the outstanding firefighter was paramedic Beryl Dixon, and our EMS provider was Brittany DePaul. And ours come from nominations. We don't just pick. We ask the rest of the staff to make those nominations based on that, and those are two very, very accomplished. Lots of initiative having employees, so well deserving, and you will be seeing them in the video. What the chamber's doing now, what they did last year is they kind of take a video of the presentation and the delivery of the award, and they assemble a nice video. It was really cool last year, so watch for that when they get it done. I want to give you guys an update on our radio replacement issue. Several years back, our radios, our portables and mobiles have well, they're obsolete. A few years back, several volunteer companies obtained a grant and asked us if we wanted to go in on that grant to have our radios replaced as well. Then Director Kaiser consulted with the ECC director, and he said, nope, I handle that, you stay out of it. Okay, very well. We're to a point now where we're having real failures, and we're replacing pieces and parts and batteries and things that just can't be fixed and that sort of stuff. So I reached out to the director of the ECC and said, hey, what's our timeline on this? We really want to, because I don't want to keep investing money in batteries and knobs and antennas and cases and work if this is coming down the pike in the next few months. And the answer I got was the agencies are on their own to replace the radios. Good luck. So that was something that was completely unbudgeted and unexpected from my part and from Director Kaiser. And I even reached out to him and confirmed. Did I misunderstand this? He said, no, that is exactly how it was. So we are now in the case, we're behind the 8 ball with radios that are obsolete and without the advantage of time to plan. So I We have submitted a request for funding under ARPA. We believe it qualifies due to what the pandemic has, the impact the pandemic has had on many of our electronics, including radios. And you can read all the details of that in our request. Also, the increased call volume and the anticipation of other spikes. I hope doesn't happen, but God forbid. Also, we'll be submitting that, and you'll see when I pass this out in a moment, we'll also be submitting that for a capital request for FY23 in case the ARPA request doesn't come through. If it's denied in both of those, we'll find another way. AFG grant and whatnot are a possibility, but those would take much longer to realize than we'd really like to be with these outdated things. Reinstatement of the COVID leave policy. You all, the board may recall a year or so ago, we initiated a COVID leave policy wherein folks that were on leave that needed to be off work because the health department, their physician or whatever said they needed to either quarantine or they were actively ill. We had a policy that covered them without using medical or personal leave for up to 96 hours. That policy expired, I think it was March. When was it? Do you remember?
December 1st.
December of this past year of
December
20.
31st, so January 1st.
January 1st. Since then, we really didn't see a need to renew it because we really weren't seeing much in the way of time needing to be off for that. And then Delta came along. I assume it's Delta or whatever the last spike was. And Commissioner Jackson, this probably sounds like deja vu of what was said at a commission meeting a month or two ago. So the county has reinstated theirs following the same sort of thing that I just said. We didn't think it was a thing. It turned out to be a thing. And I would ask this board reinstate it. But the same as it was before, with one exception, that I would like to be able to credit back for those employees that have used their leave in the last few months, that we're able to credit them back the leave used. And that is $450 at a dollar cost of $8,625. I understand from that commission meeting that this leave is ARPA eligible to be reimbursed.
Retroactively make the policy.
Yes. And of course, the policy as it stands, if we were to reinstate it, it currently says, I believe it expires on December 31st or until canceled by this board, whichever comes first. So if you want to put an end date on that, that's fine. If you want to leave it, just tell me what you want to do about how long to extend it.
So for other county agencies, my understanding, should I think that other county agencies readopted this leave policy?
We were paying, or apparently on a case by case basis, administrative leave until we enacted the
Yeah,
policy.
we
I
have
don't know how
not been
many
paying
cases
anything.
or claims or whatever that we've had. That's actually taken advantage of that.
We have not. Once it stopped, we stopped, and that was that.
Right.
So that's why we would like to, if we're going to reinstate it, so we had it, we let it expire, we're going to reinstate it. We'd just like to go back and catch these people that.
I don't have a problem reinstating it. I don't know if we want to make it retroactive and
Anybody
credit
else make it right?
time.
Did the county, yeah, did you? guys-
We just paid, I guess, administrative leave. I only know of one or two instances that I recall until we reenacted it where they just let the people do.
What is the, I guess the burden of proof, I guess you could say? I mean, you guys just take a doctor's note from them, or they just tell you, hey, you know, I'm sick, I gotta be out, or what?
No, they, we either have a positive test result that they send us. In this day and age, a lot of times we get them by text because they're
Yeah.
getting their results in their My Chart app. Or something from the doctor or from the health department doctor, Dr. Reedy, that says this person needs to be off. We're not seeing so much time off for quarantine in the past few months as we are seeing positive, so they're positive. And that's why they're off. That's been, in the first round, when we had the policy, it was usually, we had to quarantine and see what happened. They had an exposure. Now what we're seeing is it's more often positives.
So I'm just want to make sure I understand you. So they test positive, but they're not required to quarantine. Is that what you just said?
Yes. Oh, no. See, in the beginning.
I was just not
Because last
quarantined.
year, if they were
I think
exposed, they had to
Right.
quarantine.
That they
for 2
would,
weeks.
they had been
This year, it's not
exposed
bad.
and they had
They
to
did
quarantine
quarantine.
not based on a positive test,
Okay.
because
All right.
their son or their
Now
daughter
we've
or
got a
their wife or
realistic-
husband or somebody
Okay.
else had
Because
it.
the health department or the physician said you've been around someone that's positive, you need to quarantine. But they may or may not have been positive at that time. And there was no
Okay. I just
proof of
wanted to
that.
make sure that I had it straight.
But the majority of the ones you've had so far have been.
Recently,
Recently.
the recent ones have been because they actually have the illness.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I mean, they're on the front lines of it. I mean, it's-
Are we talking all of those 400 hours are a positive?
No, just the majority.
Yeah. So it's not a big enough majority where you like worry about it. That would,
I worry about it every day. but-
no, I meant in a malingering sense.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? People take advantage of the policy. If we retroact it, that was my thought process.
I mean, I have, like I said, the number is 413 hours. If we did retro, that's what we have to,
Right.
that's what we're looking at. So it's not like there could be other, and those 413 hours are based on the cases where we authorized, yes, this is because of COVID, but we don't have COVID leaving there to use your own, if that makes sense. Because there's two parts of it. There's also the attendance issue of COVID being qualified as an exception from the attendance, if that makes sense.
And as we say, in by using your own leave, you're talking an annual leave?
Either annual leave or medical leave, whatever they may have had available to them.
I the exposure was due to God, that I don't think it should be now, their leave.
Agreed. 100%. Yeah. I mean, that
Well-
should not be happening.
Playing the devil's advocate though, and I love my employees, but I just want to make sure we're clear. You cannot know if the exposure happened
Right.
because the job or it happened in Walmart. We would assume that given the job that they do, it's pretty likely that
Sure,
they came from here, but I just.
Yeah, there's
I don't
no
wanna be
way to
misleading.
pinpoint where.
Yeah, it's kind of worth bringing up.
I don't have a problem with reinstating it.
Yeah. Are we going to reinstate it retroactively?
I think he's.
We have
I have a motion.
Oh.
I have a motion.
Twiggy has a motion.
Okay, I move that it be reinstated. That the 412 hours be retroactively returned to the employees because of them having COVID. And I also would like it to last as long as the county keeps their policy in place.
Second.
Okay, hold on a second, guys.
So we've
Debbie's
got a
trying to-
motion on the floor
I couldn't hear him over the motorcycle at first.
that we retroactively provide.
That 413 hours, right?
Right.
That's what I have.
Right. So we re-adopt the policy and we retroactive covering those 413 hours.
The retroactive should not exceed that 413 though. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
people come back, oh, you know what I was. Just thoughts.
Understood.
Well, it should be an account for what he's got
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
that's what I'm saying. That's like.
And
a-
Twiggy, you want it to last until the county
It Terminates our.
Terminate.
Until the county changes their policy to no longer have it.
Yeah,
Which is
sounds fair.
consistent with county policies,
Yeah.
which I
Right.
just.
Yeah, I agree.
So I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor of? Now I've gotten it going. What do we got going on, Bob?
Of the motion. All in favor,
All in
say
favor
aye.
of whatever
I think
Twiggy
we all-
said. I think we all understand it. So everybody in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Just too late.
Sorry, I forgot about the Twiggy.
I think he said nay.
So it passes unanimously.
that's funny. Just remember that man is driving a big old truck with that big heavy bumper. So.
Was he the one, I was gonna say, does he have a muffler? Is he the guy that just went by?
No, he's got the big bumper though, that clears out deer.
Be
Okay,
nice.
You've reinstated the COVID leave policy and
And
Covered those.
retroactive to cover 413 hours.
yes.
Yes,
Sounds good.
until the county kills theirs.
Yes.
I'm not staring all down and counting. Would you pass those down? The fiscal year 23 draft budget. And I think this covers my items 5 and 6. No, yeah, 5, 6, and 7. So we'll knock out 3 with 1. We worked sort of backward from in the timeline here, so somewhere in mid-February, the agency will be expected to go present our budget, or what I like to refer to as defend our budget presentation to the commission. Working backward from that in February, by mid-January, we'll have to submit the actual numbers and the presentation. By December, I think we need to know what those are. And also in our world here, we're required to have an annual public hearing regarding the ambulance fee here at the ESA. We do that in December, 30 minutes before the regular board meeting. So that'll be 6:30, December, whatever it is. 21st? Yep, okay. December 21st, the ambulance fee hearing will be 6:30, right before the board meeting. At that time, any public or whatever can comment on the ambulance fee, how it's being spent, how we'd like to see it spent, how we spent it in the past, anything like that. We've also used that as the opportunity to be, when we present what our budget will be, both ambulance fee and general fund for the coming year. So it's in December that this board, after that ambulance fee hearing takes place at the regular December meeting, this board will vote on our budget request, that I can take it forward to the commission after that. So I'm giving you this now. You don't have to do anything with it tonight. I just want you to have it a month in advance now. This is what we'll be asking for in FY23, and then we'll do the hearing and then come back at next month's meeting and tell us yay, nay, what you want changed, anything like that. If you'd like to go over it tonight, I'm happy to.
I just have one question.
Yes,
So you've got projected on here, request of 5 positions.
Yes, ma'am.
What's it do for staffing in the fire department? Like, how would you divvy that up?
So,
Or do you know that yet?
yes, I've
Okay.
got that on the inside page there.
Oh, sorry. Oh, here we go. All right.
They're broken up this year. And believe me, we'd like to ask for a lot more than 5, but we also know what's realistic
Right.
and what's completely crazy and what's maybe, and this is a maybe. So we'd be looking for positions 4 through 8 in our staffing sequence plan. One of those is a flex float. Our idea with that, and some other jurisdictions have done it as well. Other jurisdictions have multiples of these people. We're looking for just one that would be the person that could fill the shifts that aren't being filled, that are going to result in overtime or mandatory holds, or at least part of those shifts. They'd also be the person that if there's a last minute call off, we can shuffle them straight to that assignment for the first however many hours or the entire shift. And again, reduce overtime, reduce the mandatory holds. We don't like that at all. So that's one of the positions. The other 4 in headcount that we're looking at, those would be paramedics. And we're trying to accomplish 2 things here. One is obviously get more people on the street. The call volume, especially in the peak areas, is a bit much. And when we have someone that is out on a fire engine or a rescue or whatever, that takes the crew of 2 down to 1. We also have an issue where 3 years ago, due to a reorganization, a redeployment, the on-duty supervisor was put on first due ambulance. So that sort of takes them out of pocket quite often, and they're not available to do the things you want your supervisor to do: protect you from risk and liability, assist on high acuity calls, be manpower just when manpower is needed, and those kinds of things. So we're trying to sort of bring that back, but in a different way. We do not want to put that person back here at Station 11 where they were. But what we're looking at is if we were to add a third position in town, and then we would, like here, I think we said Station 4, so we'd add a third position at Station 4. But what we would do is instead of putting the new 4 medics there, we put them at Station 2, bring the supervisors over to 4, so that now they're a second due paramedic, which doesn't commit them to the first unit. So now they can be kind of, they can go check on their staff, they can run the high acuity calls that are out of that general area because they're not, well, I have to stay committed to this jurisdiction, if that makes any sense. If not, I'll make a video. Or we can talk about A, B, and C, whatever Tony prefers.
Hey, Bob. I'm looking at the projected raises here at 3%. I'm reading some of these things that are being said here too. I agree with those guys. So we're if we give these guys a 3% raise next year, I don't know what the budget's
I'm not
gonna look
asking for a 3% raise.
like. Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I think we should not just leave it at 3% and just say that, because that's gonna decrease our first line people, our firefighters and our EMS people. That's gonna decrease the purchasing power by a chunk if we do it that way.
I appreciate your support, and I'm sure they do too, but keep in mind, we don't
I know we
get
got a budget and
3%.
everything,
We get 1.9% per year, that's it. So my point here is just that 3% is the average, and that leaves them holding the bag, and we only do 1.9. That's all we do, and we have to fight for that downtown every year to get that 1.9.
And that's all we've done in the past.
That is, we don't do COLAs, we don't do longevity, we don't do incentive, we don't do merits.
Is it just as bad? with the
That's a
county?
loaded question right now.
I know.
The county
It's
has
just something I think we should look at, because I don't think we should slowly be decreasing the purchasing power of our firefighters. and
Well,
our
I know, but
EMS.
I mean, well, the county in the past has done COLAs and
And
they've done merit. So, or COLA instead of merit or whatever.
I
I
get,
think the
I,
COLA
everyone's
was
looking at me like I'm
0.7.
crazy. I
No,
promise,
I-
it's a valid, I mean, I'm gonna bring it up. I mean, I don't want, our first line people that are out there kicking butt the past few years to get completely screwed over. Inflation this year is projected to be, well, honestly, we don't know, but it's already at 6%. So they could very well lose 10% of their pay and they're not rich. I just think it should be something we should look at, if not now, later.
It is time for another pay study as well. We did one in 2016. Anybody here remember? I think it was 2016. And what we tried to do, we knew that we could not match Loudon and Frederick and all. There's no, we just can't. We can't do
There's
it.
no.
But the gap was so big
Mhm.
that we wanted to just, could we just close it a little, could we get a little closer? Because there are advantages to working in Jefferson County. It's home, we love it here. So could we close that gap just a little? So we did that, and I think it was 2019, FY 2019, that went into place. And then 2021, in the last couple of years, both Frederick and Loudon have redone theirs to match with their COG, and they have skyrocketed. So that gap that we got a little closer to just went.
I mean, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about matching Loudon at all. I'm just,
I don't disagree with
Yeah.
you, and I do believe we should have an emphasis on our first responders and law enforcement. I do believe that. But we also have a budget to work
Yeah,
within.
I mean, I agree
Just-
100%.
And so I don't disagree. I
Yeah.
think a lot of our emphasis should be put on public safety. But we
Yeah.
can't, there's still certain services we have to provide that we can't
Mm.
sacrifice, but I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just,
Yeah, I mean,
It's
that was my
not-
thought process, just something to think about.
I mean, this year with budgeting, it was very difficult. And we tried to do what we can and
To that end, as far as the inflation and the impact on the employees, that also is kind of it's a factor in the other number, the inflation number, because the price of everything is ridiculous anymore. Am I the only one noticing it?
I promise you, you are not.
My research says it's a real thing too. So I am very concerned about things like workers' comp and the health insurance and what they're gonna do. So if it looks like my numbers are high, they are, but I put them on the back page so you can see exactly what I'm saying. And if you think I'm crazy and that's too much, then cut it and I'll figure it out. But I'm trying to give you all the best prediction of what it's gonna take to do the mission critical kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with Ms. Jackson. I just, something to think about in the future.
And this is my first year on doing this by myself, so please take it easy on me.
This is my first year budgeting too. At least on the county, so. But anyway.
Oh, and Debbie gave me an easy one for the last one. We're gonna be closed Thursday and Friday next week for Thanksgiving. I think I'm Alan Kaiser done. I gotta shorten this up.
Very good, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Nobody have any questions or comments or anything? But
We're good. I'm sure if anybody out there wants one, that's fine too.
May I take one?
Absolutely.
Do you want me to grab one for you?
Thanks for keeping me check.
Ross had
No, I'm
one more
just-
thing he'd like.
I
to-
agree wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
I met in the.
Yeah, I-
For the board.
I forgot one thing
I didn't-
that we did.
Thank you. I'll grab it.
Our liaison for the county commission was there, Claire F. And I think, and we were very grateful that she was there, and I think she was educated, and I feel very confident that she's gonna be very committed to us. Looking forward to working with her, so I forgot to mention that for her, so. She was there and will be very beneficial to that night.
And I will, it's one of those things that a lot of people that I talk to, not only at work, but in my personal life, they have no idea how the EMS and fire works in the town.
They don't.
None.
No.
And they might even have lived here longer than me, and they might even be from the county originally. And it's very enlightening to, when you start telling them the things that go on and the things that are done, and they're like, really?
Right.
And I'm like, really? So I would say this, I think there's nowhere but we're gonna get better. I have no doubt about that, so. It's the education of the general public is probably a bigger thing than even I thought, so. I appreciate everybody's work on that. I'm finished. Tricia, did you have something regarding roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, I talked to Bob Foss just a little bit. And everybody got the bylaws and the Senate bill and all of that. So the Senate bill, for all intents and purposes, gives us the authority to act as a dual ESA and fire board. And just in the amended version of the bylaws from March 6, 2020, there's a couple of things I just wanted to point out, which leads into the levy and to Bob Foss's request on the inventory list for the needs and the wants. And I did talk to Bob. I'll probably come to the next fire association meeting only because we're trying to, this board here is trying to act and be supportive of what the fire association needs. There's a couple things here as far as financial accountability and some transparency on what's going through each of the fire departments right now. So we get the 990s, but what I would like to see, and I believe Bob might be, and this is going to be a work in progress, is a cash flow statement or some type of financial statement that shows us what's coming in and exactly how it's being used. The 990s, for all intents and purposes, is a high level view, like a dashboard. It doesn't truly give us a good barometer of exactly what the fire departments are doing. You're doing fundraising or how you're using what the county's allocation is right now. And I think citizens are going to want to see at least what you're doing with what the allocation is to each of the fire departments right now.
With the county fund.
Yes, with the county funding. And see, we need to present a case and a need for a levy or a fire fee. It doesn't matter how we slice it or dice it. The public's got to know and understand and be comfortable regardless of what we do. And I think this board can rally around the cause and the purpose and help make the case, but we need some transparency and accountability and understand what's going on. So I'll probably come to the association meeting and find out how we best can do that. I know you guys rotate through the chair every year, right? Like you all switch off. We need somebody that we can work with to be the constant. So I don't know if it's the treasurer of the association or the secretary, or I don't know who it is that's the constant. So we're not reinventing this wheel every time this board gets together, every year when this board gets together. Instead of kicking the can, we can start moving things along. So I did talk to Bob today and I told him I would just bring that up. And we got to figure out how to move forward, how this board can support the fire departments and not just, the ESA.
Right.
So that's all I really have. I hope everybody had a chance to look at those bylaws and that sort of thing. I do have requests. I would like for the next meeting, if we can, to have Chief Coble on to kind of tell us where they are with the requirements or the plans or whatever's going on with Company 5. Have we made progress, and possibly what a timeline is to restore the ESA folks actually into Company 5 and possibly out of that public safety house? I'd just like an update on that, if we can have that. I know Bob Foss at some point just turned the reins over, so I'd just like to have an update on what's going on.
I've been in touch with them. The last thing that Chief Kogel said to me a week or so ago was that they had gotten ended up on an issue with the, I guess, the bank behind the station that has to be, I don't know, there's something about water management or something, drainage. I don't know.
That's Keys Gap,
One
the
of-
main
one of those
station.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the one they intend to build onto, and they had to hire someone at, it sounded pretty expensive, like $5,000 from way down south to, I don't know, engineer something before they could move forward with their architect or what have you. But I did not ask for a timeline in particular.
Well, I think we just invite him on and give him
Sure.
a spot on the agenda just to update the board on what's going on
As for
and where we are.
the fire department funding and the numbers and such, I did, I don't want to say suggest, but I did offer to Chairman Foss that currently the ESA, when I say the ESA, I mean Debbie, receives their financial packets, and she just goes through the checklist and makes sure everything's there and then sends it downtown. And when hearing what Chairman Foss was asking for of the departments, I'm like, I think we're going to end up duplicating things here, because they do have a budget in there in addition to their 990s, and they have some other things in there. And it also just seems weird to me that as I read things, it doesn't look like staff should just be rubber stamping. I don't want to say rubber stamping, but just going, yeah, it's all here and sending it on. Seems to me like this board should probably be receiving those things, one, so that you understand what's going on, and two, you all make the decision that yes, it's here and it's good before it goes downtown.
I agree with that.
And the other part of that is we had a chief asked Michelle Gordon earlier this week, there's this thing on the list that I don't remember, and why is it there? And I can't tell you how in the heck it got on the list. It's something, it's not a big deal. It's a CLIA waiver, which is a regulatory thing. And it's not the end of the world, but I have no idea how that list gets put together. Do you? Do you know who's in charge of that list? I think it should be this board, is my point.
No, it should be, but I guess my point is a constant from the fire association that can either work with Debbie to make sure the board's getting what we need to see.
Sure.
And it's not falling on her to solely do that. Is somebody, like I said, the treasurer, the secretary, whoever that can pull that stuff together and work with her to make sure the board has everything. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
They're turning in the packets to her, and like I said, she just makes sure everything's there, and that's good. That's a lot of paper that comes in. But I didn't know if all or part of that might be, not only was I thinking maybe y'all would want to be involved in that, but two, I think that could save you from duplicating effort for pulling together the numbers you
Right.
want to figure out what, because that's about, okay, here you're okay to get the funding we approved last year, but couldn't that also be used to say, this tells us what you need next year?
Yeah, for forecasting
Right.
and like I said, it's for us to come around the fire departments and not just say, hey, we've got this number and this is what we need. Let's make the case and the board can rally around and support and say, this is how we can help alleviate some of the stress on them,
Absolutely.
you know.
And I get the impression that commission would sort of prefer PSA board function in that way.
Yes, I
So that
agree
the
with that.
commission doesn't need to be as well versed in fire and EMS because you guys have plenty to do with, I don't know, wind farms and solar and I don't know, whatever you're doing.
Walking on water. Anyway, yes, to all your points are well taken. That's why I kind of want to go to the next meeting and say, let's figure out how to make this work and happen. And the whole burden is not falling on this office or Debbie.
Right.
We've got somebody who can work with Debbie and can deliver what the board needs to see.
Right. I like it.
So it looks like everything has gone through. We've gotten to the end. If anyone has any other major complaints or concerns or comments, I will take a motion to adjourn on the November meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
All in favor of adjourning November meeting, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
Is
7:30.